Yahweh, the blessed one for all eternity.
Blessed is Yahweh, the blessed one for all eternity.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar ba'anu kol ha'amim. Blessed are you, Yahweh our God, King of the universe.
Blessed are you, Yahweh our God, King of the universe.
Who selected us from all peoples.
Who selected us from all peoples.
V'natan anu and Baruto, and gave us his Torah.
And gave us his Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Notei HaTorah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I'd like to continue that prayer with these words. Father Yahweh, I praise you, I thank you. I'm humbled to be at this point in this position to be able to share with your people, Father. I ask that you speak clearly and succinctly so that it speaks to the spirits and hearts and minds of your believers. That you know what we need. You know what we're looking for. You know what we're thirsting and been hungering for, Father, this week. You know exactly where we are. Speak, Father, for your people here. Look into our hearts and see our needs. Let us hear your words and your scriptures, and our ears perk up when we hear your voice, because the sheep know your voice. That I'm excited, I'm encouraged, and your son's in my praise. Amen. 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 All right, well, let's jump in. We Exodus 13. I'm going to bag up a little bit, do a quick preview as I usually do, then I'm going to jump into our text today. The text today, for those who don't know, is in Exodus 18, 19, and 20. I'm going to bag up a little bit just for a snapshot purpose for those who want a little bit of context about where we're going. Questions, comments? Everybody good so far? I'll make sure I'm not missing anything. All right. So Exodus 13, we had the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They're leaving Egypt. We had the pillar of cloud by day and the fire by night. We talked about the crossing of the Red Sea. Believe that was Bruce. Yep. 15, the Song of Moses, and we had the bitter water. Was made sweet. Exodus 16, we had bread from heaven. Bread from heaven. I'm going to jump back to that in just a second. Exodus 17, water from a rock. Israelites defeat the Amalekites. This is a cool picture. It's one of my cool pictures again. If I could get that on the wall, how cool would that be? It looks like somebody was there with a snapshot with their camera, and they got that moment. That was a good moment. So
which one's Aaron and which one's her?
You take your guess. I'm guessing it's Aaron. I don't know. So,
Charlton Heston.
I knew that would get some kind of emotional feedback there. I couldn't help myself. We got a movie out. Hey. 19. We're gonna talk about Jethro's advice. Matter of fact, the Torah portion's name is after Jethro, isn't it? So I think it's Yethro. So what a great advice he gave. We're going to talk about Israel at the Mount Sinai. They finally made it. They got there. And lastly, the Ten Commandments. Man, that's a heavy one, right? Because everybody knows these chapters. What can I talk about that would be of interest in chapters so familiar? We'll try. Together, we'll come up with something. All right, so let's see here. You didn't get a chance to finish.
I didn't hit on Amalek on the last one.
Okay. I did want to 16. Okay, yeah. All right, we'll come back to that point. All right, so let's jump and read 18, 19, and 20. And I'm going to do a little bit different since I have a few chapters today. Can we survive 3 chapters reading?
Yes.
All right, let's do that. I've been studying this group, and I just had to ask, because about this time, hour after eating, you're like, okay, hold on, feel that, Mr. Clayton. All right, so let's go find my reading and see if my volume's good.
The book of Genesis continues.
Uh-oh, did he say Genesis?
Yeah.
I don't want Genesis. All right, might have to read it real quick then. Oh yeah, I did do Genesis. Sorry. Well, no, it said Exodus. Wait. Oh, okay. I'll look for Exodus. They gave me Genesis. Can we just, can I get a volunteer to read chapter 18, and then I'll play 19 and 20.
Now, Yitro the priest of Midian, Moshe's father-in-law, heard about all that Yahweh had done for Moshe and for Israel, his people, how Yahweh had brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moshe had sent away his wife, Zipporah, and her 2 sons, Yitro, Moshe's father-in-law, had taken them back. The name of the one son was Gershom, a foreigner there. For Moshe had said, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. The name of the other was Eleazar. My God helps. Because the God of my father helped me by rescuing me from Pharaoh's sword. Yitro, Moshe's father-in-law, brought Moshe's sons and wife to him in the desert, where he was encamped at the mountain of God. He sent word to Moshe, I, your father-in-law, Yitro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons. Moshe went out to meet his father-in-law, prostrated himself, and kissed him. Then, after inquiring of each other's welfare, they entered the tent. Moshe told his father-in-law all about that Yahweh had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardships they had suffered while traveling, and how Yahweh had rescued them. Yitro rejoiced over all the good that Yahweh had done for Israel by rescuing them from the Egyptians. Yitro said, Blessed be Yahweh, who has rescued you from the Egyptians and from Pharaoh, who has rescued the people from the harsh hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that Yahweh is greater than all other gods, because he rescued those who were treated so arrogantly. Yitro, Moshe's father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God, and Aharon came with all the leaders of Israel to share the meal before God with Moshe's father-in-law. The following day, Moshe sat to settle disputes for the people, while the people stood around Moshe from morning till evening. When Moshe's father-in-law saw all that he was doing to the people, he said, What is it that you are doing to the people? Why do you sit there alone, with all the people standing around you from morning till evening? Moshe answered his father-in-law, It's because the people come to me seeking God's guidance. Whenever they have a dispute, it comes to me. I judge between one person and another, and I explain to them God's laws and teachings. Moshe's father-in-law said to him, What you are doing isn't good. You will certainly wear yourself out, and not only yourself, but these people here with you as well. It's too much for you. You can't do it alone, by yourself. So listen now to what I have to say. I will give you some advice, and God will be with you. You should represent the people before God, and you should bring their cases to God. You should also teach them the laws and the teachings, and show them how to live their lives and what work they should do. But you should choose from among all the people competent men who are God-fearing, honest, and incorruptible to be their leaders, in charge of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Normally, they will settle the people's disputes. They should bring you the difficult cases, but ordinary matters they should decide themselves. In this way, they will make it easier for you and share the load with you. If you do this, and God is directing you to do it, you will be able to endure, and all these people too will arrive at their destination peacefully. Moshe paid attention to his father-in-law's counsel and did everything he said. Moshe chose competent men from all Israel and made them heads over the people, in charge of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. As a general rule, they settled the people's disputes. The difficult cases they brought to Moshe, but every simple matter they decided themselves. Then Moshe let his father-in-law leave, and he went off to his own country.
Amen.
set out from Rephidim, they entered the desert of Sinai, and Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain. Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said,
This is what you are to say to the house of Jacob, and what you are to tell the people of Israel. You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations, you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites.
So Moses went back and summoned the elders of the people, and set before them all the words the Lord had commanded him to speak. The people all responded together,
We will do everything the Lord has said.
So Moses brought their answer back to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses,
I am going to come to you in a dense cloud, so that the people will hear me speaking with you, and will always put their trust in you.
Then Moses told the Lord what the people had said, and the Lord said to Moses,
Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Have them wash their clothes and be ready by the third day, because on that day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. Put limits for the people around the mountain, and tell them, be careful that you do not approach the mountain or touch the foot of it. Whoever touches the mountain is to be put to death. They are to be stoned or shot with arrows. Not a hand is to be laid on them, whether people or animals. They shall not be permitted to live. Only when the ram's horn sounds a long blast may they approach the mountain.
After Moses had gone down the mountain to the people, he consecrated them, and they washed their clothes. Then he said to the people,
Prepare yourselves for the third day. Abstain from sexual relations.
On the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning, with a thick cloud over the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. Then Moses led the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke, because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. As the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and the voice of God answered him. The Lord descended to the top of Mount Sinai, and called Moses to the top of the mountain. So Moses went up, and the Lord said to him,
Go down and warn the people, so they do not force their way through to see the Lord, and many of them perish. Even the priests who approach the Lord must consecrate themselves, or the Lord will break out against them.
Moses said to the Lord,
The people cannot come up Mount Sinai, because you yourself warned us. Put limits around the mountain and set it apart as holy.
The Lord replied,
Go down and bring Aaron up with you. But the priests and the people must not force their way through to come up to the Lord, or he will break out against them.
So Moses went down to the people and told them. And God spoke all these words.
I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. But he rested on the 7th day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male or female servant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor.
When the people saw the thunder and lightning, and heard the trumpet, and saw the mountain in smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance, and said to Moses,
Speak to us yourself, and we will listen. But do not have God speak to us, or we will die.
Moses said to the people,
Do not be afraid. God has come to test you, so that the fear of God will be with you to keep you from sinning.
The people remained at a distance, while Moses approached the thick darkness where God was. Then the Lord said to Moses,
Tell the Israelites this. You have seen for yourselves that I have spoken to you from heaven. Do not make any gods to be alongside me. Do not make for yourselves gods of silver or gods of gold. Make an altar of earth for me and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, your sheep and goats and your cattle. Wherever I cause my name to be honored, I will come to you and bless you. If you make an altar of stones for me, do not build it with dressed stones, for you will defile it if you use a tool on it. And do not go up to my altar on steps, lest your nakedness be exposed on it.
All right, amen. Amen, amen. Give me that tissue, Jay. Give me that box. Sorry, guys. Praise y'all because I was absent from school 2 days in a row, and I ain't hadn't done that in 6 years. I don't remember ever being absent like that. And praise Yahweh for Layla Clayton, who took care of this young man, because I had that flu, whatever that thing. I don't even get sick like that. So that was a new thing for me, and Mia got it a little bit. Maybe Ava a little bit, had a little temperature, or maybe it was her teething, but I'm not sure. So I'm here.
Amen.
Made it. I'm glad it was early enough. I want to start with Jethro's advice, and the way I usually do it, y'all, I'm gonna leave meat on the bones. Is how I call it. Look, I'm not gonna go through each chapter and take every little piece that I can talk about. It'll be impossible. I'm gonna take just one thing. I'm going to limit myself to one thing a chapter. And you're going to probably add some more stuff to it. I'm going to let you take it if you want to do that. So, but I'm going to go one piece at a time, and I'm going to move on. So this may go real quick. It may go take our time. I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. Jethro's advice. What stood out to me with his advice? Verse 11 stood out to me. As they're talking and having this conversation, Jethro came to a realization. He says, now I know. As if he was battling at some point, like, you know what? I don't know. He might, I think Yahweh got him. But he said, now I know that Yahweh is what? Greater than all the gods. He didn't have to say that. Of all the things that happened in there, he could have made any kind of exclamation. There's not a lot that he said in this book of the Bible. There's not a lot he said in chapter 18. But one thing he did say as an exclamation point to Moses, now I know. Because that Yahweh is greater than all gods. Because in this affair, they have dealt arrogantly with the people. I, in studying this, cannot overemphasize the importance of Yahweh being supreme. Yahweh will have nobody stand next to him. Forget above him. Don't stand there. As we close that last chapter, I don't know if you caught it, he said, don't put none next to me. You know, Texas is the only flag that can fly at the height of what? The American flag. And they got a prideful reputation, don't they, too? We're Texans. We used to be our own union, republic. I forget how you call it. So
I raised the flags at the bank for Wells Fargo.
Right.
Down like I'm normally, and they're like, "What are you doing?" Like, the Texas flag flies with the American flag.
Well, I tell you what, get that chest stuck out.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't you put nothing next to me." I don't. There is not. Yahweh plus this. No, it's just me. No, there's no love. Matter of fact, he is so into it when it comes to other guys. In Exodus 12, you hear him say it again. For I will pass through the land of Egypt that night, and I will strike down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and on all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgments. I am Yahweh. I love when he's the only one that can end a statement like that. Oh, I am Brandon. People look at it, don't work the same way, but he ends so many of his sentences with so much power and authority and distinction. I am Yahweh.
Amen.
He was not going to have any playing with these guys. If you were wondering, and I wanted to pause here because we've made allusions to this idea throughout this lesson, that he was going through and having these plagues done to show off. Because the question is, why these plagues? He could have done literally 1,000 things. Why blood? Why locusts? Why? What? That's kind of, where did you come up with that?
Gods of Egypt.
He was at work, and through my lifetime, I've gleaned over that, and I've been kind of like, okay, yeah, I heard that. Look, if it was a big deal to him, it must be a big deal. And what I decided was on my spirit, it's been on my heart for a while to do this, so I finally did it. I said, let me take a pause right now and look at those guys. What was these guys that was such a big deal? First of all, is this just one of those wives' tales? It's just kind of some people keep saying. So I looked it up. I said, hey, is there a God that he's trying to execute judgment on? Or is it just people kind of saying that? So I want to take a minute to look at those gods. But before I do that, Yahweh hates other gods and continually asserts himself as the one and only. See now that even I am he. Okay, we got that. And there is no God beside me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. Woo! He gonna make it known. Can you feel the depth, the power in which he's trying to make this statement? Like, we try to do that as men. Like, right, we get that. No, you can't. Like, no. When he said, like, when I kill it, it's dead. When I raise it, you can't. There's nothing else you can do. There is none that can deliver out of my hand. I am only God. You are my witness, declares Yahweh, and my servant whom I've chosen, that you may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me, no God was formed. Nor shall there be any after me. I love it. None before, none come after. I am Yahweh, and besides me there is no Savior. I declared and saved and proclaimed. When there was no strange God among you, you are my witness, declares Yahweh. I am God, Also henceforth I am he. There is none who can deliver from my hand. I work, and who can turn it back? For in Isaiah 45, for thus says Yahweh, who created the heavens, he is God. Who formed the earth and made it? He established it. He did not create it empty. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahweh, and there is no other. His believers, the servants, also say the same thing of him. In Deuteronomy 6, Hero Israel, Yahweh our God, Yahweh is one. That's it. We're not going to count. It's just to you, it was shown that you might know that Yahweh is God. There is no one besides him. You believe that God is one. You do well. Even the demons believe that and shudder. So we got the oneness down, though. There is none like you, Yahweh, and there is no God besides you. You alone, whose name is Yahweh, and the Most High over all earth. Why are other gods so offensive to him?
I like the little G there.
I thought about you when I put that there, actually. I did, because you always make a point to talk about the little G. I'm like, let me make sure I put I should have changed the font size. Yes.
I think the reason they're so offensive is because he loves us so very much that if we serve some other God, we're hurting ourselves. And it hurts him when we hurt ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As a parent, it's easy to think about that. I'm like, it hurts me to watch that. Yeah.
Kind of like it affects his reputation. You know what I mean?
He's a very jealous guy.
Right.
Well,
If what you say is wrong, and he lets it stand, then what he says is questionable.
For him to say all of that, and there to be another little g God that opposes him or does opposite of what he says in his word, destroys his reputation of who he says he is. And he regards his word above his name. So to come against that would damage him and everything that he created. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's why they're so offensive to him. On top of the fact of his greatest creation being misled to worship or believe or go along with one of the ways of a God that is not the one true God.
Right. So he is the creator. Everything he created is his. So it's like taking his patent away. He is the creator.
Right.
How can it not be offensive? There's only one God.
There's only one.
He's the one that created everything.
Right.
So he is, I am that I am. It's only me. There's no one besides me. So how can you not take offense if your daughter comes and calls another man dad, and you're standing right there?
Give me stuff. Why you
I have to use you because that's where it counts. If your daughter, if one of your girls come and say, there's somebody standing right beside you, go and call him daddy. Now, how would you like that?
You know, it's funny because we had this conversation, my wife and I. Because in Russian, when you refer to other men, just generically, it's dadishka. I'm like, who? But it's kind of like saying uncle, like how you like say, hey brother, like you just talking to somebody. But it's not like daddy. But I'm like, no, that's not, no. So it's funny that came up. I wasn't that angry, but you know.
But hey, you are her dad.
Right.
Only
Right.
dad.
Only
There's only one.
Yeah.
There can't be more than one dad. You can adopt someone, but there's only one that you came from.
Right.
So that's just the way it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we're there yet, but he's called his people to an intimacy that's more like a marriage. And so, he expects that loyalty that any husband would expect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I have a question.
All those.
I don't quite understand the role of Yethro as the priest of Midian. Was he a priest of Yahweh or a priest of whichever God you were serving, and he offered sacrifices to whichever God you wanted to sacrifice to? Or
Let me let y'all take that.
He was the priest of Midian. He didn't serve God. If you notice what it says up there, it says, now I know that Yahweh is greater than all gods. So he considered the other gods gods.
Okay. So, but at
He
this
just
point,
added that Yahweh to his gods.
Like Yitro is sort of a title. Like he was
Oh, it's a title?
He was a prince, a leader.
Okay. But apparently at this point, he has become a believer in
Yes.
the one God.
He definitely
No, because he said, look, if unless the scripture's wrong, it says greater than all gods. He's still acknowledging other gods. So he just added, to me, he
What
just
she's
added
saying
it.
is that now he confirms.
No, well, I don't know
Well,
that.
it's hard to say because
Because he's still saying all gods.
but just because he said gods
Yeah, that's-
doesn't mean he ascribes to the idea that I believe in your. Because even Yahweh himself would talk about gods. So I wouldn't.
but yeah,
And Elohim can also be
but
great ones.
but what I'm saying
Right.
is,
It doesn't have to be God.
yeah, it's just saying that he believes in the power of Yahweh. To me, that now it doesn't show anywhere else where he converted or anything. But
Right.
what I'm
Okay,
saying is,
good.
what I see here is that it's saying, now I know that you're God.
Okay.
You know, now I know that this God that you talked about has power and has done this. To me, now if it showed conversion, I could understand that, but I would have put it differently. I would have said, now I know that Yahweh is God, is the only God,
Right,
or
right.
is the God.
And when this conversation made me, when I was writing a study about this, it's a separate study. I was doing a 10 Commandments study, this booklet that I made. And I got into that. I was like, if Yahweh is the only God, why does he talk about other gods? Like, why? Because they exist in your head, so I better say something. So as long as you keep worshiping that thing, you that, and I'm going to have to say something. So, like, if there's no other God besides you, stop saying there's no other God besides you. If there's no, but I think he's trying to make the point without ascribing to that guy's power.
And I think that because of the times that they were living in, that he did have other gods, that he did worship those other gods until he learned about this God.
Yeah, and that's an ongoing conversation. Yeah, so we can go either way, but the point is clear. I know who's on top.
Yep.
I know
Yep.
if you whether you say that still exists or not, like I can clearly see what's going on. My last question before I go to the next slide: what did or do gods offer? See, they did something for these people, and I think it's important because we look at the Egyptians and the idols that these people carry. I mean, Rachel stole idols from her. Was it Laban? So they were really close to these things. So they had some power, and we'll miss a lot if we just look over there and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know, that's some weird stuff, man, holding these blocks and stuff. No, there's something to these things, and those things still have a power today. They don't look the same, but they still have a power today. So my question was, what did or do these guys offer? They offered them something. So 10 gods, 10 judgments. Hoppy. Oh, anybody familiar with the Egyptian gods? A little bit. Okay, a little bit. Are you familiar? I say anybody familiar with the Egyptian gods? Okay, so this was new to me. There were some big ones that I heard of, but so this is new. Now I'm going to show you a little bit about the Egyptian god, and then I'm going to bring it back to the scripture that went against the plague that came up. Hapi was the god of the annual flooding of the Nile in ancient Egypt. I feel like this. I'm sorry.
And say like heart has to be moved. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
So Hapi was.
No, I can see.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fine right now.
All right.
You're over there, so I'm gonna have to go through here.
Hapi was the god of the annual flooding of the Nile in ancient Egypt. Religion, the flood deposited rich soil, allowing the Egyptians to grow crops. Hapi was really celebrated. Some titles of Hapi were Lord of the Fish, Birds, Marshes, Lord of the River, and bringing vegetation. Due to the fertile nature, he's sometimes called the father of the gods, a caring father who helped maintain the balance of the cosmos. Imagine how offensive that is. To be your people, the people that you created, are calling something the father of the gods. You're the father of all the gods, and you are a caring father who helped maintain balance of the cosmos. So, of course, with Yahweh, Yahweh turned the Nile into blood for 7 days. Even the rivers, canals, ponds, and pools, killing all the sea life. So this guy was supposed to be the god of that, the flooding in the Nile area, the Lord of the fish, and for 7 days he destroyed everything to show that he's Yahweh over that. Heket is an Egyptian goddess. Last stages, he was over the last stages of the flooding of the Nile. Let me jump down a little bit. Heket's role became one more closely associated with the resurrection. Eventually, his associate led to Amulet's gaining the phrase "I am the resurrection" in the Christian era, along with the cross and the lamb symbolism. They eventually made there's little bracelets that you're wearing with this god's signature on it, like a little frog. And women who were pregnant or midwives would wear these because they believed that it would help promote birth. In the Christian era, that became a little bit popular. Not the Christians wearing it, but in the Christian era, they were still opponents to this practice. And so this is the one where you hear about the frogs. This particular guy had a frog head. I even learned about this stuff right here. All the gods have these things in their hands. It represents life. The ability to give life or take life away, one of those. Geb is this guy on the ground. This was the father of snakes. Geb could be used, also regarded as personified fertile earth and barren desert. Geb is the husband of Nut. This is the other god. The sky visible daytime, nightly firmament. As time progressed, the deity became more associated with the habitable land of Egypt and also one of its early rulers. This is where we strike the earth, and the dust of the earth became like gnats. So imagine that into an Egyptian mind. If they see their god as the ground, Geb, and he's saying strike the earth, he's like, boom. And now we have the gnats coming up from there. So it's almost like an attack. And literally an attack. He said strike there. He didn't have to say strike there. He could say just throw some dust up in there. He could have said anything. But from an Egyptian mindset, you're attacking a god, and you're using the earth god or the snake god, and you're taking this earth and making it into something different. So Yahweh showing his control over each one of these situations. This is the flies. And anybody know what that is? Dung beetle. Dung beetle. They roll these things up. And he's generally... usually has the head of one of these
Scarab beetles?
Scarab, thank you. Scarab beetles.
I know where y'all got that. Yeah, she
What?
got it.
So Kifri developed or come into being, create. Let me jump. An act that the Egyptians saw as a symbol of the forces that moved the sun across. Because this scarab beetle kind of moved this thing, they thought about him. This dung beetle moved this piece across. They looked at it as a sun moving across. So they thought this guy was somewhat responsible for that. A dung beetle also places babies in here, and then it would be born. So they also believe that it has something to do with creating life. So Kefri was thus a deity god. Young dung beetles, having been laid as eggs within the dung ball, emerged from it formed fully. Thus, Kefri also represented creation and rebirth. Again, these are all attributes being taken away from Yahweh. He's now the big part of creation. Huh?
Taken away from the Egyptians.
I was saying it backwards. They were taking the power away from Yahweh and saying, this is our creator. He created the sun, he moved the sun, and so forth. So I'm just showing you that for them, these are big people. This is the goddess. She usually has a head of a cow or represented by a cow altogether. Hathor. Hathor is coming depicted as a cow goddess with horns, in which is set a sun disk and Urias. She is personified the principles of joy, feminine love, and motherhood. In tomb painting, she is often depicted as the mistress of the West, welcoming the dead into the next life. And this is the one with the livestock, where they're attacking the livestock And for if you do not let them go and still hold them, behold, the hand of Yahweh will fall with a very severe plague upon your livestock, camels, herds, and so forth. Isis, the goddess of medicine and peace, she was believed to help the dead to enter afterlife, divine mother of Pharaoh, for healing spells. Isis' reputed magical power was greater than all of all the other gods. And this is where they had so many swords, and even the magicians could not stand before him. So she's supposed to be healing, but no healing could happen because of Yahweh exacting this plague. Nut is the goddess of the sky. Nut was the goddess of the sky and the heavenly body, the symbol protecting the dead when they enter afterlife. There is none like me in the earth. Behold, about this time tomorrow will cause heavy hail to fall. So instead of this sky, all their gods, the way Yahweh was making it happen, is almost as if their gods were attacking them. So everything was going wrong. He was taking the place and taking the power back from them. Set, god of the storm, and disorder. This is when we get. This is the. I didn't want to repeat the scripture. I think this was something different. I can't remember which one this was.
Lightning and hail?
I think that was what the one I wanted, yeah. I think I repeated one. All right, I'm down to my last two. Good. Ra, that's most of us heard of Ra.
The biggest one.
Yeah. If you haven't heard of any of them, you heard of Ra. Ra had become a major god in ancient Egyptian religion, identified primarily with the noon sun. Because there was three gods depending on the sunrise, the sun in the middle, and the sunset. Ra was believed to rule in all parts of the created world, the sky, the earth, and the underworld. He was associated with the falcon or hawk, as you see in the head shape. All forms of life are believed to have been created by Ra. Think about that. All forms of life are believed to come from him. Who called each of them into existence by speaking their secret names. Wow. Alternatively, man was created from Ra's tears and sweat. Hence the Egyptians called themselves, I'm the cattle of Ra. Cattle of Ra.
We don't have to be a human being, we have to be cattle.
And of course, this is when darkness stretched out over land. So the sun god, for 3 days, I believe. Yeah, 3 days stretched out over land, so darkness could be felt. And the last one. Oh, you weren't expecting that one, probably. Pharaoh himself. Wasn't he also a god? Matter of fact, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, was worshipped by Egyptians because he was considered to be the greatest Egyptian god of all. It was believed that he was actually the son of Ra himself. He is the son of Ra himself. Manifest in the flesh, referred to as the sons of Ra. You know, all the pharaohs. These are the sons of Ra. And now, when Yahweh attacks the son, the God of God, I'm gonna get you. I'll take out your son to show that I'm supreme over all. That's Egyptian. That's literally thousands of years ago. Do we still feel the effects of the practices? You feel like you got to
predominantly in our culture, in the black ethnicity, this is where a lot of them are going to. Instead of believing in Yahweh, they try to say as if stories in the Bible root from these because they're so old. And I don't understand it because it's clear as day to say when he brought our ancestors out of Egypt, why all of these years later will we go back into that bondage and slavery? I don't get it, you know what I mean? But I guess that's the cunning deception of Hasatan is that you twist a word or two or looking with carnal eyes and rather than spiritual eyes, they can't understand it. So it bypasses them so they go to something more tangible that they feel like, and they make it about race. That's the biggest thing, they make it about race. You know what I mean? being in oppression for 400 years, slavery and all of that stuff. And this is what they take it back to, Egypt, where we were kings and queens supposedly. You know what I mean? So it is so out of proportion that it doesn't make sense when it's clear as day right here. And it's not that Yahweh leaves any of them out. You know what I mean? Like, if you really do your research, you will see that we are there. You know what I mean? So why would you, I guess the essence of being in slavery for so long and wanting to be held high in esteem as a king or a queen, you would rather go to this back into bondage, not realizing where you truly are, rather than being a servant and submitting yourself unto his statutes or his mitzvot, not understanding what your placement is in his word as being a son of the one true God. You know? So I think it's a mindset to where they feel like we've been oppressed for so long, just as Israel was for 400 years under the Egyptians. You know what I mean? They want to have the upper hand.
But don't you think it's like Romans 1 says that they worship and serve the creature rather than the creator?
Right, exactly.
Because their deeds are evil. Because they don't want to give account. The Bible makes men responsible.
Right.
And they don't want to that accountability that we have before Yahweh, the King of the universe.
And it's so sad. It's sad. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like they will argue and debate you. Right. And it's just like how, I mean, I understand how they can't see because it's just like scared.
Another thing that concerns me is a few years back, I don't know if we're still doing it, but there's such a fascination with Egypt and death. I mean, we were the kids, you know, in elementary school were making these little mummies and all kinds of stuff Egyptian. And I'm like, where did that come from? You know, I mean, we're not allowed to have a Bible in school. Oh, it just got under my skin so bad, Brandon.
It kind of plays out.
It's like I can't have a Bible on my desk. Yeah. But we can make a little mummy.
Yeah. There's so many like that. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Brother Brandon, could it be all this because we have disobeyed this one commandment where it says on Exodus 23:13? We're not there yet. You're not there yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It's further along.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could it be that it's come to this because of disobedience to this one scripture, Exodus 23:13? It says, pay attention to everything I have said to you. Do not invoke the names of other gods, or even let them be heard crossing your lips. Could it be that's come from all that because we have continued to invoke them and
that references Jeremiah?
No, Exodus 23:13. Exodus 23:13.
Yes, ma'am.
It's interesting to me how Satan has used each of these to take away an attribute of God,
right.
Including God's Son that he was sending into the world to manifest in the flesh. And also in our nation, I've watched, because I've lived here a while, how the Ten Commandments have been eroded. They have been eroded. There's not one of them now that our culture does not break. There's not one.
Yeah. Amen.
It's funny to me. I say it's funny, but it's
strange.
It's awakening to me. You know what I mean? It's like a revelation because he said he knew the end before the beginning. Like, you see some of this stuff, like these necklaces that they wear, which is in his hand. Like, you see this stuff, and then something else you touch on, like when we talk about the end times, and he say, watch. Watch and pay attention. There's a narrow path and there's a wide path. But pay attention to what's going on around you because I already knew that this would happen, but I want you to be aware of what's going on. I want you to pay attention because in Revelation it always also talks about the elite being deceived. Like, it's easy to just go with something, you know what I mean? Rather than to stand firm, and you always say to guard his commandments, you know what I mean? Because if you don't, it'll be easy to be, what did I say, swindled into what's good, or what's popular, or what looks real. Like, and that's, I kind of see it coinciding with each other to where it's like, man, I see why he says he's the one true God. Because if you truly understand the depth of what he is saying and how powerful and magnificent he truly is, this is an awesome thing. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. Because it just shows why he says, like you said, I am Yahweh. You know what I mean? Like, don't get confused.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm telling you, and understand that you are going to see these things, and to be where you are, to be adhering and submissive to the one true God, the blessings that come along with that, and everything that entails with that is something you don't want to miss. You know what I mean? You don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think they're looking at the end game.
No. And I think to better see, to better see the end, you got to understand the beginnings a lot of times. So I felt like showing some of these would kind of say, hold on. They did, look at them. Look, I mean, you know, what's that? I've seen that before. Or, okay, what are these? If you look back, if I did a real quick snapshot and I look back and you look at what each one of the guys look like, they got some similarities.
Right.
They all got 2 legs. They all standing up. They all got a different head, but they all starting to look like just people. And then to the end, the biggest one is it's just gonna be me. I'm just gonna it wasn't even just like an animal, like a lizard. It's like, hold on, no, we're a man. We're gonna just put a different head on. Right. Another man with a different. I'm like, hold on, I'm watching something. So our tendency can be to do that. Yes, ma'am.
Satan counterfeits what God does, and I think that in the last days we are going to see a lot of miracles performed by him, and that's why I think it says that even the elite could be deceived if it were possible, because we're going to see things happen that will be attributed to someone other than Yahweh. And yeah, right. Well, it's already happening. We have, the deception is going to be really heavy. Amen.
So we need to be informed. We need to know. All right. So I cannot leave this teaching, because I literally, if you teaching and reading stuff, you know how it is. I feel like God was telling me, okay, go look this up. I was like, I'm where my kids playing. I'm like, oh, I gotta go find this. See, he put this on my heart. Let me find this. And I couldn't find nothing. And then I stumbled across it and I found pages. I was like, oh, I'm gonna show it to you. But before I go there, we don't have little gods, okay? But what do we have? See, these guys did something for them. They took care of them. Now they got from fertility. Y'all, they weren't just little statues. They were so powerful because they were helping them in something. Okay, let me try to make this. Okay, we got money, right? So money can be like that. That's one big one, right? So why is money powerful? It's not because of the paper. It's because of what it can do for me. It's like, hey, man, this money. And it's not like we worshiping money. Like, hey, money. No, but sometimes my attitude towards my job and how I have to go, because if I don't go, this is going to happen. Hold on, he's your provider. Now he's your provider? So I remember brother told me that one time, because he just told me, like, I'll just give it all away. I don't worry about nothing. He's like, no, he provides for me. I'm like, wow. Because that's how they live, right? In the desert, he's just like, if it rains, you're going to provide for me. So money can be that way. What some other things can be little guys? Just real quick, I want to make sure I mention that point before we move on, because we can look at they little guys and look down on them and be like, not nobody gonna worship no cattle-headed man. Come on. But there are some things that we do have a hard time pulling away from in 2018. Just real quick, yeah.
Super Bowl on Sunday tomorrow.
I'm so glad you said that, because I didn't know the Super Bowl was coming up until yesterday. Somebody told me, I was like, good, I missed it. So.
The English word ball comes from the Hebrew word baal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, baal, which is Lord.
That's where you think about, I mean, it's okay to watch sports and stuff, but I mean, some people are so fanatic, and they'll spend a fortune, and they'll gamble, and they'll do all this stuff, and it's like,
and real quick, football ain't a sin. However, but what are people getting from that? Okay, we got to go a little bit. What are people getting from that? A sense of community, a sense of I'm a part of a family now. They never talk about the team. They're like, we won. Like, you didn't do nothing. You turned the TV on. Like, we got to be careful with that stuff. And it can devastate. I'm talking about when I used to watch a lot, I'd be devastated. Like 3 or 4 hours of my life went into pouring into, come on, you lost. My week is shot. I'm like, oh, goodness.
And some people commit crimes because of it. Do you know that?
Oh, absolutely.
After
Right.
the Super
Especially
Bowl-
soccer games.
After the Super Bowl, they go out in the streets, like in Denver. I know they showed it in a lot of cities. They go out there and they turn over cars and they do a lot of it.
Yeah, that spirit is got. You got to be like, hold on, something with this spirit. Real quick, I'm sorry, I saw some other hands go up. What other things?
Medicine. I noticed there was a God there for medicine. Plan A for many people is rather than take it to God first, to
Ooh.
Yahweh first,
Wow, that was a good one.
they
That's a
call
good one.
it and make the appointment.
Nothing wrong with medicine. However, we can do the switch real quick. Like, hold on, I need my medicine. I'll pray later, but right now I need my medicine. And realize, no, I'm the provider. That's good. It's guys, it does thousands of things. Yes, ma'am.
Husband, wife, children.
That's what I'm going to say, Pete.
Husband, wife, children. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, when I got married, when I fell in love with my husband, he came before anything.
Right.
I mean, it was that way. But I heard someone say, "But I love my daughter. She's my life." What? What do you mean she's your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one of the greatest.
That's
ones.
a big one, and I'm gonna repeat that one. People. I believe my own little opinion from what I've seen is people become the biggest gods. Like we put other people as gods before. That's why I say they end up looking like people. They little people, they big people, but they people because we get so much from them. They become our life. And matter of fact, if you turn on media, you're taught to do that. People praise you for that. They're like, wow, you know, I gave everything. I'm taking care of them, and I'll make sure nothing happens. Like, no, you're not their God.
Right.
So I got into that so much when it came to relationships. And you think you're supposed to be like that. And sometimes the woman is looking for, hey, who's going to serve me? And the man is like, who can I serve? And it's this guy like serving, like, whoa, no. We're two servants. And I'll, we'll both serve together. But let's not have that attitude. Anybody recognize these?
Oh, yeah, I've heard some stuff.
These are kid games. This is a Yu-Gi-Oh! And on Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a winged dragon of Ra. That's one of the greatest cards. So if you have kids, nieces, nephews, or Pokemon, they're naming their gods. Kids have no clue about what we just talked about, but they're thinking, man, I got to get the winged dragon of Ra.
Really?
And when you watch the movies and you play the game, you got to call out the guy's name. You got to be like, the winged dragon of Ra, attack.
And so they're getting the kids to speak it out.
Yes.
All the time.
I used to play it.
They have an agenda.
As an adult, I used to buy these. This card is very, very, very expensive. I used to play this game, and if you can get one of those, it's like, wow, you'd be like, the Winged Dragon Raw, 1,000, 2,000 attack points, get them. And that's just one of them.
Yeah.
That's just one. Over here, this is a video game where you have different gods, and here's one of the God of Ra right here. So you can better believe if you're playing video games or any kind of games, you're going to have Egyptian gods in there. And it's not the Egyptian guys that their butts getting kicked by Yahweh. Get out of here. No, they're glorious, bro.
Yeah.
If you watch the movies, the God movies, they're glorified, man. You're going to want to be one of them. Like, I want to be one. I want to be Hathor. Who? You want to be what? They're glorified. When I was researching, I came across YouTube videos of movies, and they look good, y'all. They look good. When kids, if I'm a young boy watching that, I'm like, man, I want to be one of those. If I'm a little girl, all the goddesses look cool. Wow, pretty, powerful. Look at film and TV. I just looked up all the places in movies that you get gods. So you get talking about these. I'm not going to go through all those.
Doctor Who? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it's not to say necessarily that they are representing them in a bad way, but most of the time in films and movies, they're being glorified, y'all. They look awesome. They're not like, man, these things stuck. Yahweh's the one. So video games, this is where it's huge. Look at that. Look at, and I'm my list cut off, by the way. I had to say, like, okay, I'm cut off. And up here, Seth is one of the guys. Seth is an optional boss after Shiva and Vishnu, and it's right before Satan. You get to Satan, you get to fight them. Oh, you know what? Here's a cool thing. I made this whole slideshow available on my website, so you can actually click through this whole thing. So everything. I'm gonna put it at the end. So if anybody wants to show that or review that, the video will be there in the slideshow. All right. So music, you'll hear also music. And ironically, I did not try to do this, but ironically, most metal music. And a lot of metal music. And I never could get, no, I can't do the metal. So I'm going to leave that alone. But you got to think about this, guys. These guys you don't just stumble upon this stuff. They're thinking, let me put this God on the card. Mm-hmm. Like, who would do that? Come up with something fluffy. Thank you. There's something intentional going on, and we need to be aware of it. Absolutely.
Yes, yes. They have these little things called Skylanders. They have a game attached to them, and they all are gods. And they have names like Vishnu, and they're in charge of different things. I know that because my grandsons have collected those and have the video that goes with each one of them, and each one of them has powers in the video game. Right. And when I saw that, I thought there was something wrong with that, but all the kids are doing it.
Yes.
Brandon, I had a rule I gave my kids. They said, well, they just have powers. I said, if it's not God's power, whose power is it? Yeah. And so all these power, all of them, Superman, Batman, all of those action movies. I said, if it's not God's powers, it's Satan's power. So why would you want to see anything that's satanic anyway?
If I was 10 years younger, I probably would have disagreed with you.
I know you would, because my grandkids do.
We researched the superheroes. The first one was Superman. Mm-hmm. And when did it come out? The Nazis are the ones that came up with Superman.
Oh, did they? I didn't know that.
Superman.
Yeah.
And, then you have all these animal creatures, like you said. They're half bird, like the phoenix. Half bird and half bear. Half goat and half bear. And you do it Egypt. But you can do the same thing with the Greek gods and the Roman gods. And I don't know if it's still the same now, but we had to study all that show in high school. We weren't allowed to have a Bible in the school. When I went up north, it was like worse, than here. And so, you had to study and memorize the Greek gods and the Roman gods. Like Hercules and all these things they're gods. Right.
They're everywhere. They're not weak, they're not month.
Half animal.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that the enemy wants us to live in that animal nature.
Yeah. Guys, there's something, and I'm going to say something to y'all. Y'all already know this, but there's something powerful in that realm. Okay, it took me so long. Those 10 guys I just did, y'all don't know how long it took me to put that together. Because I read a lot about each one of them before I put that little blurb up there. I read a whole lot. I woke up in the middle of the night just disillusioned, just like, what? God's? I was just like, what? I was like, man, let me hurry and finish this thing. Because when you start getting into this different realm and this different power, you have to be careful. And I have to say that. I'm like, man, I'm really saying that. But when you start to talk about something else having power, and if you're reading that and you're saying that and you're doing it or participating, your mind just really, it's like, okay, we'll go there. You have to fight it. And so if that's constantly in front of you, it's hard to fight. So I'm going to get off of there. I'm going to jump to Exodus 19. But that was the thing I wanted to point out with Jethro was now I know that Yahweh is greater than all the gods. Because this is, I forgot to get this picture, y'all. Okay, so we've seen the Messiah with the halo. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Right, that's not good because it's an act of sun worship.
Mithraism.
That's what.
Right. That you see painted on the.
Yeah. Right. So, it was saintly. You're like, no, we never did that.
We're not even supposed to have images of him anyway.
And you see it a lot of Catholicism.
Of any kind.
Say again, I'm sorry.
It reflects Jupiter.
It reflects Jupiter? Does it? I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Catholic. What do you call that? The cathedral in Rome.
Oh, okay. Okay. And Jupiter is named after, I believe, one of God. But anyhow, it's not what Yahweh wants. All right, so let's go to Exodus 19. Jethro and his advice. Anything else? In 19, it says, go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their garments and be ready for the third day. Consecrate. You guys know what this means? Set apart.
Cleanse.
Kadosh.
Set apart.
There you go. I love when I get some Hebrew and I feel so good about myself. So I can't say a word of it that well, but I got it in there. So can we say can somebody say it right for me again? How you say Kadesh? Is it Kadesh?
That's Kadesh right there.
That's Kadesh. Okay, that's the root. Kadosh is what we normally say.
Kadosh is holiness.
Kadosh.
Kadosh is the verb.
Okay. Kadash. I'm looking at the verb again.
Yes.
Got it. All right, so consecrate, to be set apart, to be made holy. Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Let them wash their garments. One part, that's the part that stuck out to me in that 19. Why were the people being asked to consecrate themselves? Yeah.
God.
For on the third day, Yahweh will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. Here comes Yahweh. We got to get ready. We got to consecrate ourselves. What's the nature of holiness? Holiness has limits. It has lines. It has distinctions. It has boundaries. I kind of talked about this last time before when I was like, man, this whole don't take another step. Holiness, the idea about holiness has lines and limits. How do we know? Because right after that, what does he say? And you shall set limits for the people all around, saying, take care not to go up to the mountain or touch the edge of it. Whoever touches the edge of it shall be put to death. I'm like, you are extreme. Put to death? If you touch the edge, no hen shall touch it, but he shall be stoned or shot. Whether beast or man, he shall look like the beast. Come on, get a beast a break. He didn't know any better. No, if the beast does it, he's going to die too. These are the words of Yahweh himself. This is not an interpretation from another man saying, I think this is what he means. He says, no, I'm telling you, set a limit, and if you fall over that limit, you will be shot. You should be killed. You should be stoned. The nature behind holiness is a distinction. There's a line there. And Proverbs 25, it says, a man without self-control is like what? Different translations say it. Yeah. It's like a city broken and left without walls. No self-control is like not having a wall. What's the problem with having a city without walls?
You get attacked and you get
constant attack. If we are people calling ourselves to holiness because he is holy, we need to have limits, lines, and distinction and boundaries all in our life. I say this because in 2018, and any of us who are around young people enough, and ourselves included, the line is constantly being what?
moved. And it's blurred.
It's blurred and it's moved to the point where it's going to eventually be
gone.
We don't have no line.
Non-existent, yeah.
We don't have a line. Girl and boy, what's the difference? What's the difference?
To the young people, there really is no line. The ones that are
and that's what he wants to get.
Yeah.
That's what Satan wants to get.
Where it said that you had a good girl, which was a girl living by the word, and a bad girl living in the ways of the world. Okay? And when the bad girl told the good girl to live a little, that was acceptable. But when the good girl told the bad girl basically submit to the word, it busts the door wide open because it's like, oh, you can't tell her that. You know what I mean? Like, but it's socially okay for you to tell me to relax and live a little. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's how backwards it is to the point of what you're saying. There will be no more.
Yeah. I feel, guys, it's on my spirit and my heart. I don't know. Every time I study the Bible, I feel like I'm trying to figure out who Yahweh is. And that's why this comes out. I'm like, he's serious about that distinction. He's like, look, he's so exclusive that the world hates him.
That's what it said. That when the good girl told the bad girl, that was judging.
Yeah,
that's what it said.
Yeah.
You told me to live a little, and that's okay. But when I tell you I don't want to live like that, for you to live this way, that's judging.
Yeah. And you're so narrow-minded.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to think and talk like this, y'all, that's narrow-minded. And it really is. It's like, dude, you saying I have to? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. You saying that if I cross it, I'm going to die? Man, who can... And that's how he is. He says, my road is narrow. Few people going to find it.
Do not look to the left or the right. You stay focused.
Yes.
Period.
So is he speaking literally nowadays? He's going to die? Yes, you're going to die. Yes, you're
Because that's
gonna
where
die.
it leads. What is that little bit of sin?
You're not
that
gonna
becomes
die,
up. So
yeah.
eventually it's just going to build up, build up, build up.
You-
That's why you just.
But you're not gonna die physically right away, but you are gonna die.
Right.
Just like that.
Yeah. Mr. Bruce,
That's it.
did you have your hand up, Mr. Bruce? I thought you raised your hand. Sorry.
Oh, that was earlier, but
Oh, okay. All right, so what's
You know
the
what Irma says? That's what it boils down to. For the wages of sin is death.
Right.
Slow death, fast death, it
That's
doesn't
what
matter.
it says,
That's what
you're
it
gonna
boils
die.
down to. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
exactly says you're
so
gonna die.
I feel it's necessary that we have to remind ourselves, guys, because we're living in the world, and we will do this. If you don't catch yourself, do you know you will drift?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't have an active program in your life where you're constantly calling yourself back to holiness and you're feeling yourself, do you know you're drifting? Because if you're not doing it, I'm gonna tell you, you're drifting. You don't realize it until you don't realize you're drifting if you don't have a godly man or woman, or especially you're not in the Word of God and you're saying, "Oh," because I was just listening to this thing again. I'm telling you, it convicts me. I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, ooh." It reminds you,
Pretty bad you convict yourself.
huh?
Pretty bad when you convict yourself.
You have to. You have to. Because I can't share with you until I'm convicted. And I'm like, ooh, that's hitting me good. Like I'm listening to this again. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to teach. You teach that one. So, but it's humbling. So yes, sir.
Mine's quick though. It's just, and it reminds me, some of the stuff you're saying reminds me of when people ask me questions. I put it simply. Everybody lives life by a set of principles. What are yours? I'd rather live my life by a set of principles given by the Creator than given by man. You know what I mean? Like, it goes back to what he says. There's two sides. Today I said before you life and death. Choose a day whom you will serve. It's either one or the other. By default, if you choose not to serve this one, you automatically serve this one. You know, but it comes back to those lines. We make so many gray areas. Eventually, there's not going to be a line because you're already over here by default. You've been here for a long time. Right. Just not confessing it or realizing that that's where you are.
Right. That's the same.
Mine's shorter. No, and I'm just kidding. You know where we blur the line all the time with believers, the ones that are talking about this and sharing? With our lips. Mm-hmm. We blur the line so badly with the way we speak, how we treat people with our words. We blur it. I'm sorry, but we blow it.
I'm sorry.
Not just blurring it, but we blow it. Because that is the biggest sin in believers' lives, is your tongue. The things that you speak to people, the things that you say, how you say them, when you say them, to whom you say them. There is no respect anymore. There's no eldership anymore as far as, and I'm not talking about the elders of Mount Right, I'm talking about eldership. There is no respect. You talk to everybody and you treat them all like anybody. And we have no distinction anymore about how we speak. When and where and what and why and how. And we blur it. And I'm guilty, don't get me wrong, I'm guilty, just as anybody else. Mm-hmm. But that is the biggest one.
That's a huge one.
That is a big one.
Well, I'll ask this first. What's the book of Leviticus about? Profaning the holy. For verse 26, you shall be holy to me, for I, Yahweh, am holy, and I have separated you from the peoples, that you should be mine. So we don't have an option. It's not like we can be like, I don't really want to be holy, though. That holiness is like, y'all too extreme. He says, no, you shall be holy.
Don't you think it kind of goes back to the burning bush? Yahweh said, okay, Moses, if you want to talk to me, get those dirty shoes off your feet. You know, I'm not going to have, that's why the priests all went barefoot. Not because they were from Alabama, like my husband says, but because it was holy. They wore shoes up to the temple. Like, I think that's where the Japanese get it from. Because you know, you keep that inside court where Yahweh is, clean and free from the dust of this world and the dirt of this world.